Hi everyone. Just wanna put some ideas down on audio um, about this book. A Man in Marable. I started reading it like 2 summers ago. I don't know. This is the last summer. I think I'm gonna finish it. I'm very obsessive when I read. I'm a very slow reader, and I think I read with sometimes with doubt too, because English is my second language. It's a language that I hate. Um, like all colonial languages, they're just not good at all. So I started because I bought it at the Shamberg. Even when I knew about it when it came out, I knew that this book was very, disrespectful, to say the least. Totally approached the Honorable Malcolm X legacy very disrespectfully, calling also the Nation of Islam cult, a sect. Because I guess only white people can have religions and black people can only have cults and sects and fanatism and stuff. So, but at first I thought this was like, I don't think there's a lot of accidents. I don't believe in accidents. Let me show you where I'm at. I'm at the beach. I just want to show you a little bit. I cannot show you. I'm on top of. They put like millions and millions of dollars on this beach after Hurricane Sandy. I'm in the Rockaways, 149th Street, and Pachamama said, take that shit out. So I don't know if you can see. It's like a slice of cake. I hope it don't take me under, But especially the ocean, Yemaya and Oshun, they do their thing, and they really don't care about us. The tides right now are pretty low. As you can see, people are standing in the sand, and they are far away in the ocean. So. I'm just very frustrated. I've been reading in the subway. I've been reading in the bus. I just like. I find it very, very shocking. Especially just the way that he handled this, which to me it's very sacred. This is very sacred because talking about. A people, African people here in the Americas who've been through so much. And so like right now, let me show you where I'm at. Page 474. And it's talking about, many murders that was happening after the Honorable Malcolm X assassination, and that apparently they have nothing to do with his assassination, but I can only imagine people can be silenced for so long. People can be silenced for so long, and I imagine the FBI and the police, the NYPD and the New Jersey police, which was like basically the main actors. of this assassination, and it's just crazy, you know, how these people who apparently had nothing to do with oh great, now I cannot turn it. Anyway, I cannot flip the camera. Yeah, because I'm not live streaming, so I don't know if you can see me. But we'll see what come out because I cannot flip it to see me. But it was like so many murders, that I'm thinking about. You know, was Miss Betty Shabazz, was she murdered too? You know. That's something that, by the way, you know, I learned last year that Manning Marable, the writer, committed suicide too. And as you can see, the first thing you notice is right here in the corner, this badge of honor saying that's a Pulitzer Prize winner book. So it's just that, I mean, as I'm reading this, I mean, you know, Manning Marable committed suicide. Miss Betty Shabazz died from injuries, from what's it called? They're supposed to have the 12 o'clock mix. Bullshit. They ain't having no mix. So they said that one of her grandchildren, which I mean, I'm wondering, his name was Malcolm too. I mean, I'm wondering if he was the one who got assassinated in my home country, in Mexico, not too long ago. Supposedly, they went out for drinks in Plaza Garibaldi, which is a very populous, you know, square where you can hire mariachi bands to serenade you, and you know, you feel like you're in heaven. It's apotheosis, you know, where you know, where we become gods. So these thing, these centers, these cultural centers, where you can just hire a mariachi band and take you, you know, to other dimensions. Malcolm X, the Honorable Malcolm X's grandson, was out with some friends, and they was ambushed. It was ambushed by the staff, by the staff, and I say ambush because when they got the bill, it was outrageous. It was thousands and thousands of pesos. When, you know, they had a few drinks and stuff, and you know, that usually, I mean, I never learned that ever happening in my home country, because we have international reputation of being the most you know, hospitable people, you know, in the Americas practically. So, you know, if we see, you know, college students and stuff, I mean, you know, unless they're white and they're, you know, they're racist and they're like whatever, then, you know, I can understand that, you know, but I don't see that in my home country, especially, I'm sure he was very tall, just like his grandfather. So, most of us Mexican, we believe it's like, oh, basketball player, some basketball star player, get his autograph, and stuff like that, because, there's no there's no African people in the media. There's no African people on television. There's barely African people in the United States television, And they got into a fight, and long story short, he got shot and killed in Mexico City. So, so I'm talking about, a whole bunch of people who was assassinated, even up until the 70s. Even in the 70s, and these, suspicious, sometimes, there was like a mafia style, and they say that was because, in Jersey, the temple, the mosque, was dealing, but they knew how to deal with the gangs. Come on, they've been doing it for a while. It's not like it's gonna be like even the Nation of Islam dealt with the so-called gangs, because everything that's not white is a gang. In LA after Nipsey Hussle, funeral. So it was handled by the Nation of Islam, and it was very peaceful. It was very it was no retaliation. So it's bullshit that it was like, some of them died from, I mean, I don't know. So I'm thinking now, perhaps, Manning Marable might be a hero. I know there have been at least 4 books written to correct, some of the, inaccuracies and what's it called, slanderers and whatnot, it's a fly already. They bite so hard. So, so there's been several books, to, because there's inaccuracies in here, very, mean intention. So there, but, it's kind of like, somewhat sorry about these flies. They bite really hard. So I'm gonna be like scaring them off. And so I heard that Manning Marable committed suicide the day his book came out. So that made me wonder, like, was he killed because the publishers totally changed the content? The way they changed the content of the, sorry, I think I got beaten, of the Malcolm X autobiography. It was, as you know, there's 3 chapters missing from the autobiography, and we now know that the writer, I keep forgetting his name, sometimes it just goes away. the so-called writer of the book Roots, which was made into a hit TV series, which it turned out it was plagiarism, and it was intended for African Americans to identify as slaves and to say, well, this is where your history starts, in slavery. So it was sort of propaganda. So obviously he took 3 chapters out and who knows what else, because the book was ready at the time that Malcolm X was assassinated. Actually, he wrote the publisher saying the book is ready almost the day before Malcolm X got assassinated on February 21st, 1965. I was born like 6 weeks later on April 6th, 1965. So I know exactly 54 years. I know when he was assassinated because that's my age. That's my age. So it's just like, I guess I don't know, like the first batch of Generation X. So, so yeah, he committed suicide. I mean, because probably they knew he was gonna speak up and gonna say that this is not what I wrote. This is not the book that I wrote. There's a lot of contradictions, At first, if you're gonna read it, and if you're not a good reader, I recommend you only to read the second half, because that's when it starts getting funky like that, like, funky smelling. So it's just the way he talked about, his own people. I mean, I know it's supposed to be, it's called coonery, it's called whatever, but at times in the book, there's severe contradictions to that. There's severe contradictions to that. I mean, like, I get really angry. At times I write insults to the writer, but, in the same page, I don't know if you can see it. I'm in the train, I'm like fuming. And in the same page, he attacked, like Malcolm X, and in the same page, the second half goes so, like, Bayard Rustin denied the militancy and radical potential of the, working class African Americans. And why he's gonna say that for, why is he gonna say that? Oh, he denied the what's it called, the effectiveness of black nationalism. So it is just to go back and forth, driving you crazy, in the same page, he called him, whatever, the same, and then it goes on to, like, one of the things that, talking about towards the end, talking about Miss Betty Shabazz, and accusing her of being bourgeois. So I knew, besides the book, I knew Miss Betty Shabazz. She was very vocal against the FBI and against, you know, she knew. You know, I would think, you know, as the wife, you know, people will come to her because they knew she was hungry for closure and she was hungry for peace of mind. She was hungry for those things. So she knew a lot. And I would not put it past these Neanderthals that they would burn her house. You know, the same way they keep saying that the Honorable Malcolm X burned his own house just days before he got assassinated here in Queens, in Forest Hills. So the same Neanderthals saying that it was one of her granddaughters who burned down the house where Miss Betty Shabazz was at. She got like dirt and 4-degree burns. She died from that fire. So what is to say to me that she wasn't you know, making deals to write a book? Who was to say to me that she was not about to expose the United States government in the assassination of her husband? This is very suspicious. And he don't talk about nobody else getting burned except Miss Betty Shabazz. She got burned. You know, according to the book, by her own grandchild. And he don't say how. I was in a house fire. One of my baby cousins, she was heating up, warming some milk for the youngest baby in the house. And she picked up we know exactly what happened. You know, it's easy because, you know, she said it. You know, she picked up the pot with a rag. The rag caught on fire. She got scared. She didn't know what to do with the rag, and she threw it in the closet. She threw it in the closet. Of course, you know, unfortunately, there was some oxygen going in the closet. So, let me see if I can put it up a little bit farther. So, there's an incident also that tell me, because I met Miss Ilyasa Shabazz. I met her this year actually. I met her on the 54th anniversary of the assassination of her father. And you know, her eyes tell you a lot. There's a history here that it is too adamant to put it in here, saying that at the funeral, Miss Ilyasa Shabazz, she stood up to defend Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, who was the mayor of New York City, that Nazi, Rudy Giuliani. He got booed. I don't know how you say that in English. You know what I'm trying to say. He got heckled at the funeral. And it said that Miss Ilyasa Shabazz stood up and defended Giuliani. That might be true, but why she did it? Why she did it? Because she don't want the blood to continue more, to lose more of her children. You got to think about these things. You got to think about these things. This is not the Miss Ilyasa Shabazz that I met this year at her father's 54th memorial. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, like, and it don't add up. You know, there was, let me see how many, hundreds, I mean thousands and thousands. I'm talking about the funeral of the Honorable Malcolm X was on February 24th. And it was freezing. It was freezing. And oh gosh, I just read it. Why can I remember that? How many? I think I went back too far. As you can see, I'm not good with books. I'm like, I'm not an avid reader. You know, they even had to fight because strategically they placed crackers at the Honorable Malcolm X burial over here upstate New York to, you know, with shovels. So they had to fight and say, there's no crackers gonna be throwing dirt at Malcolm X. So another thing is like Miss Ella, you know, Collins, Honorable Malcolm X's sister, you know, she gets put in here. You gotta read it. It's like, you can tell they hated her. They hated Ella, and they put her, oh, she had a horrible ending. Another enraging thing to me was that the New York Times and all the white media gave raving reviews to the autobiography when you know, throughout his life they was his worst enemies. I mean, they wrote despicable things, you know. It's just like, it's like typical sociopathic cracker shit that you find. They are like laughing at every turn in this book. I'm not gonna say that I know them very well, you know, but I kind of know their MO. So basically this book really don't really tell you much. I mean, whatever it tell, it's only, it points at things, but I mean, at this point in the reading, there's no doubt in my mind that this was tampered. This was I just wanted to tell you exactly, you know, how many thousands and thousands of people went upstate, all the way upstate, freezing in the middle of February. Oh gosh, I just had it here. I made like big annotations. You know, there's another empathetic statement. He fought desperately to shield others' doubts and fears. I mean, like,